voice that matters is the voice of the jury, and the jury has spoken.
Hey everyone, Willie here. This morning, the image haunting the White House is one of absence. It is the visual evidence of a geopolitical vanishing act, playing out in real time on airport security monitors from New York to Los Angeles. On a Friday morning in late January, a day that should pulse with the frantic energy of global commerce, the terminals of JFK, LAX, and O'Hare stand in eerie post-apocalyptic silence. The runways are still. The gates are empty. This is not a technical failure or a holiday. It is the arrival of a new, terrifying economic reality. A coordinated grassroots movement, born as a meme on TikTok in Europe and supercharged in Asian markets, has finally crashed upon American shores. The sentiment once dismissed as online chatter, the Make America Go Away, MAGA, in a bitterly ironic twist, movement, has morphed from a political slogan into a weapon of global economic warfare. They are calling it the Great American Boycott, and its speed is dismantling decades of economic dominance in a matter of hours. Unlike state-sanctioned sanctions, which lumber through bureaucratic channels, this is a consumer-driven tsunami. International travel bookings to the United States have plummeted by 90% in the last 24 hours. In European ports, dock workers are refusing to unload American cargo, and in a move that sent Apple and Tesla shares plunging another 12% in pre-market trading, Chinese consumers are live-streaming themselves discarding iPhones into public bins. A viral, nationalistic performance of rejection. President Donald Trump, already besieged by cascading crises, is reportedly facing a new kind of terror. Sources within the West Wing indicate the president, a man who built his identity on the power of branding, now grasps a fundamental, chilling truth. The American brand has become toxic. His power was predicated on the idea that the world envied and needed America. For the first time in modern history, the world is actively choosing to look away. He is said to be screaming at trade advisors, demanding the European Union compel its citizens to buy American, threatening to seize foreign assets. But he is colliding with the immutable law of capitalism. You can coerce a government, but you cannot force a customer to open their wallet. In this deep dive analysis, we will dissect the anatomy of this global revolt. We will expose the secret summit of global CEOs that sealed America's economic fate. We will reveal why the president is now frantically dialing the very world leaders he publicly humiliated mere days ago. And we will examine the financial doomsday device, the BRICS option, now being armed in distant capitals. The world isn't merely criticizing America, it is surgically removing it from the global economic body. To comprehend the panic now gripping Washington, you must first appreciate the velocity of this collapse. Governments negotiate in years, the global public acts in minutes. The reservoir of goodwill America accumulated over 75 years has drained in 75 hours, triggered by two catalytic events: Trump's fatal insult tweet labeling European leaders vassals, and the horrific leaked video of Nurse Sarah Jenkins' execution in Minneapolis. Global sentiment didn't just sour, it snapped. It began in Denmark, a direct response to Trump's renewed threats to annex Greenland. A viral challenge dubbed Wear Bye Bye USA began trending in Copenhagen. Danish influencers, who typically emulate American culture, posted videos canceling Netflix subscriptions, pouring out Coca-Cola in favor of local Hildeblomst soda, and rerouting planned Florida vacations to the beaches of Spain. The contagion spread to France, where a deep-seated cultural ambivalence toward American power hardened into decisive action. Cafes in Paris taped handwritten signs to their windows. Ici, pas de produits américains. No American products here. Social media flooded with clips of French citizens returning Levi's jeans and Nike sneakers. The hashtag Sans l'Amérique, without America, became the top trend across the Eurozone. Then, it reached America's allies in Asia. In South Korea and Japan, nations still smarting from Trump's protection racket comments, the boycott turned corporate and cunning. Samsung stores in Seoul launched overnight switch-to-stability campaigns, offering such aggressive trade-in deals for iPhones they amounted to a corporate-funded disposal service. In Tokyo, trend-setting youth posted videos not of burning flags in traditional protest, but of discarding American-branded apparel into recycling bins, a gesture of cultural dismissal, not political hatred. This movement transcends politics. It is an expression of visceral disgust. The video of Sarah Jenkins has been viewed over 2 billion times. To a global audience, purchasing an American product now feels akin to subsidizing a police state. America's cool factor, its most valuable export, worth more than its oil or arms, is dead. Wall Street analysts are terming it a reputational black swan. Goldman Sachs has issued an emergency note downgrading the entire U.S. consumer discretionary sector to sell. Their projection is dire. A one-month boycott could cost the U.S. economy $500 billion. 3 months would trigger a depression that would make 1929 look like a mild market correction. Yet the most potent threat lies not with consumers, but with organized labor. The International Transport Workers Federation, ITF, representing 20 million transport workers globally, held an emergency vote in London. In solidarity with American nurses and the victims in Minneapolis, they passed a resolution for constructive delays. Now, in the port of Rotterdam, Europe's largest and the gateway to the German industrial heartland, this resolution takes physical form. Dock workers are inspecting every container from the United States. What was once a seconds-long barcode scan is now a days-long process of manual checks, opening crates, counting items, scrutinizing safety certifications. American soybeans, automobiles, and machinery sit exposed on Dutch docks, rotting and rusting. In Canadian ports in Vancouver and Montreal, longshoremen, already incensed by lumber tariffs, have joined the action, refusing to load goods onto U.S.-bound trains. This is a strategic strangulation of the American supply chain from the outside in. Walmart and Target are warning of empty shelves by next week. Rust Belt factories, the heart of Trump's political base, are idling production lines because they can't receive European components or ship finished goods to Asia. Trump's counter-threat on Truth Social was impotent. The lazy European dock workers are playing games. I will ban their ships from U.S. waters. I will seize their cargo. It is an empty bluff. America imports 40% of its medical supplies and high-tech components. Banning those ships would be national suicide. The unions hold the leverage, and they are using it to squeeze the political life from his presidency. While the streets boycott and the docks blockade, the world's boardrooms are executing a silent coup. Leaks to the Financial Times confirm a secret video conference yesterday afternoon. The participants, the CEOs of the Global 50, Unilever, Nestlé, Toyota, Siemens, LVMH, HSBC. The agenda was stark: de-risking America. For decades, the United States was the ultimate safe harbor for global capital. Today, these executives view it as a conflict zone. A transcript excerpt reportedly quotes the CEO of a major German automaker stating, "We cannot rely on a market where the president threatens asset seizure, the bond market is broken, and the government shoots nurses. We must pivot to Asia and South America immediately." Their agreement was for a silent withdrawal. No press releases to provoke Trump's rage, just a quiet, relentless divestment. Canceling new factories in Ohio, relocating R&D centers to Toronto or London, drawing down U.S. inventory. This capital strike doesn't crash an economy. It suffocates it. The ultimate irony of the Trump presidency now manifests. He sought to build walls to keep the world out. The world is now building walls to keep America in. Several nations have issued travel advisories for the United States typically reserved for active war zones. New Zealand has elevated its U.S. threat level to high risk, a category it shares with Turkey and Colombia, citing civil unrest, arbitrary detention, and risk of state violence. Germany's advisory is brutally specific. Avoid all protests. Do not engage with federal law enforcement. Medical care may be unreliable due to strikes. Be advised that gun violence is prevalent and police response is unpredictable. The humiliation is economic poison. The U.S. relies on tourism for 10 million jobs. The economies of Florida, Nevada, and New York run on visitors. Miami hotels report 80% cancellations for February. Las Vegas casinos are desolate. Disney World is a ghost town. Trump's reaction has shifted from bluster to frantic desperation. He ordered the State Department to issue retaliatory advisories labeling Europe as dangerous. But the world has seen the videos from Minneapolis and Dallas. The propaganda no longer sticks. Realizing the scale of his miscalculation, he has spent the morning trying to call European leaders, like France's Emmanuel Macron and Britain's Keir Starmer. The offer, according to sources, drop the Greenland demands, rescind the tariffs, just retract the joint statement and send the ambassadors back. They are not taking his calls. The Elysee Palace stated, the president is currently traveling and unavailable. Downing Street offered, the prime minister stands by the joint statement. There is nothing to discuss until the rhetoric changes. They are employing the gray rock method against a narcissist. They have stopped engaging, stopped arguing, and simply turned away. For a man who metabolizes attention like oxygen, this global silence is a suffocating vacuum. The boycott has now penetrated the one sector Trump needs to prop up the markets: big tech. The European Union's threat to deploy its anti-coercion instrument? ACI, which could legally block US data transfers, has Silicon Valley in a panic. If Facebook, Google, and Microsoft stop working in Europe, 30% of their revenue vanishes overnight. The tech titans, Musk, Zuckerberg, Cook, are reportedly in an emergency meeting at the White House right now. They are not there to offer support, but to deliver an ultimatum. Fix this, or we will let the market collapse. Elon Musk, whose satellites were entangled in the Greenland fiasco, appears to have turned, posting a cryptic meme of a sinking ship captioned simply, "Abandon." Back on Main Street, the abstract geopolitical crisis is becoming a tangible domestic emergency. News of the dock worker blockades has triggered panic buying. Toilet paper, medicine, electronics are flying off shelves. America's just-in-time supply chain, a miracle of modern efficiency, cannot withstand a synchronized global withdrawal. By Monday, scarcity will be visible in every community. When Americans cannot buy insulin because it's stranded on a ship in Rotterdam, their anger will be apolitical and absolute. The Make America Go Away protests are swelling because the boycott has brought the consequences of Trump's foreign policy directly into the American pantry. Looming over all of this is a final existential threat that renders other concerns trivial: the financial nuclear option. The BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, are convening an emergency session. The topic on the agenda: a coordinated move to dump the US dollar as the global reserve currency. With the US economy paralyzed, its government unstable, and its rule of law crumbling under policies of asset seizure, the dollar now looks like a catastrophic risk. If China and Saudi Arabia agree to price oil in yuan or gold, the dollar would collapse, triggering hyperinflation in the United States. Savings would evaporate, pensions would turn to dust. This is the point of no return, and Trump is watching the dollar index, DXY, plummet in real time. Reports from the residents describe a president in the throes of a narcissistic collapse. He is reportedly not eating, perpetually pacing, fixated on live maps that glow with the red zones of the global boycott. He keeps asking aides, "Why do they hate me? I made them rich." The unbearable reality, "everyone hates me," is shattering the foundational delusion of his identity. Everyone loves me. In such a psychological disintegration, behavior becomes dangerously erratic. Staff are said to be removing sharp objects and limiting his access to communications. We are witnessing the mental unraveling of a commander-in-chief in real time. Among the first and most poignant victims are the 9 million Americans living abroad. They are becoming pariahs by association. Refused service in Parisian restaurants, given eviction notices by landlords in Tokyo, their U.S. credit cards declined by foreign merchants. Their desperate pleas for help are flooding social media and overwhelming paralyzed U.S. embassies, adding more fuel to the domestic outrage. This week has irrevocably altered America's place in the world. We began with a trade war and have ended with a global quarantine. The Make America Go Away movement has, in a grimly literal sense, succeeded. America has gone away, isolated, financially crippled, and engulfed in internal anger. The boycott proves a fundamental 21st century truth. You cannot rule a connected world through fear forever. Eventually, the world stops being afraid and starts getting organized. The consumers, workers, and CEOs of the world have, in effect, issued a vote of no confidence. They have fired Donald Trump from his role as leader of the free market. Now, the only question that remains is whether the American voters will follow suit. As Monday's market open approaches, the nation holds its breath. The treaties and tariffs were mere skirmishes. This, the silent, collective, global decision to simply look away, is the real war. And it is a war America, for the first time, is losing not on a battlefield, but in the minds and choices of every consumer on the planet.